Hello, everybody. Thank you for having us. What a great attendance today. This is something that we have been the head sponsor of, the lead sponsor of now, well, since you guys started charging for it, I think since 2007. We've found it to be a great platform because it's a great place for our employees, our clients, and the ecosystem to talk about stuff that, frankly, most salespeople would fall asleep if they listened to, really diving into the details. So on that note, what have we been talking to our clients about and trying to help them solve? This industry can't grow unless it is simpler, unless it is easier to do business. We must simplify. It is way too hard to execute a campaign. It is way too hard to integrate with a partner. And in many ways, we kind of just take this pain for granted because it's been going on for so long. But if you speak to someone that comes from outside of the space that comes in, they are blown away by how hard it is to execute a campaign, how hard it is to integrate with partners. Now, it shouldn't be much of a surprise because our industry has been blessed by a huge amount of innovation from companies like Google Blue Sky, Double Verify, Wrapped, and the list is growing, and all of these pieces are absolutely essential to deliver value to your clients. The problem is each one of them also creates operational pain. The fact is that this space, just digital alone, is multi-platform. The amount of systems that are required to deliver a campaign to execute your strategy is staggering. So how do we bring all these different systems together, and why is it so important? So first, it's important because the cost and the pain for operations is creating a big wall for advertisers to jump over. It is difficult for agencies to make money. It is difficult for publishers to make money. And moreover, agencies and advertisers' marketing effectiveness is diluted because of all of the costs and all the operational complexity. So we really wanted to take a look back and look at this problem historically and see, was there another time that another industry was facing similar problems, and see if there was a way to look at that and translate it to today. So we went back with our time machine to the 80s. Now, there are a lot of things that happened in the 80s, some good, some bad. Now, I looked endlessly on Facebook to try to find someone in the room that had a picture like this. I couldn't find it. If any of you know someone in the room and that has a picture like this, please Twitter it right now for the IAB so that everybody can see it. Or you can send it to bighair@operative.com, and I'll make sure that we get it into the Leadership Summit next year. Leg warmers, you guys remember that. Inflation was double-digit as well as unemployment. MTV, that was one of the great things that happened, and one of the great things still going on. Wall came down. And one of the things that really changed business was the introduction of enterprise software, was trying to bring all these different things together. But before we get into that, I just want to talk real briefly about what are the parallels between the 80s and today. This is the crux of the problem that our industry faces. Operational effectiveness is inversely proportional to innovation. The more you innovate, the less effective you are. Now, there are companies that have solved this, that have gotten rid of that inverse connection, but they are few and far between, and they're leaders, and that's why. So why is it so hard to do both? Well, operational effectiveness is about repeatable. It's about doing the same thing over and over and over. The innovation is incremental. It is about simplifying for the business user, and it's about integrating. It's about bringing all the different pieces together so that you can see what's going on in the business and make smart decisions. On the other side, the opposite, innovation. Disruptive, complex, and by definition, every time you add to it, it fragments from the left-hand side. And this is the challenge we have been facing. And again, the problem is that we need all this innovation, but how do we still get operational effectiveness? Well, taking a look back to the 80s, and the early 90s, why is there a parallel to now? Well, there was a huge amount of innovation. PCs were displacing mainframes, which led to distribution of lots of IP that businesses needed to adopt. And the enterprise was extending. M&A, globalization, outsourcing, JVs. Now, all of a sudden, your business was actually outside of the walls. Sound familiar? It's very much what's going on now, but to an order of magnitude more. We are going from PCs to the cloud, which is increasing innovation. And the ecosystem, it is rare that you will find a business that can deliver customer value just with the people that are sitting inside the company. So this is what we need. We need balance. How was that solved back in the 80s? Business management systems, enterprise software, right? Something that was at the center of all this innovation. There are three qualities that they all have. One is it holds all the primary processes to run the business, from product packaging all the way through execution and collecting the money. Secondly, it must integrate with all the pieces of innovation, and it must integrate with the extended enterprise. Third, it usually has BI components to it, something that allows you to see what's happening everywhere. In the end, this idea was about separating the production layer from the business layer, having a business management system that was a hub so that you were not doing your work inside of the production layer. So how do we translate this to our space? Well, I think there are three main parts that I think about. First is inside the enterprise. How do we integrate Salesforce, Oracle, Yieldex, these kinds of businesses into the primary business system? The other thing that's required with any business system is the ability to manage the demand, the ability to sell your product. We all have multiple different sales forces, ad networks, DSPs, and all that must be integrated. On the supply side, and I think this is where there has been the most innovation recently. In fact, IAB now has someone with a title, Supply Chain Management, which I think is exciting. 10 years ago, most of us didn't know what that meant. The fact is, the product you sell today is a component of maybe 5 ad tags delivered by your ad server, 10 ad tags delivered by partners, third-party ad serving, third-party targeting, and a creative tool. Add in print and mobile, and you have a true supply chain problem that looks very similar to when you buy a car. GM doesn't make many things. They compile lots of things to create value. That is not different from our space. If you want to excel in this space, excelling at supply chain management is critical. And if you look back at all of those other industries that solve this problem, you will not find a leader that has not done this, that has not brought all of these different pieces together into one system. So what have we learned? Take it easy on the hairspray. Adopt a business management system. And what I mean by that, again, is something that hubs all the different pieces of innovation. Third, operationalize innovation. One of the things that we find in the industry is we spend so much time being excited about the innovation that we don't do the work to figure out how it's going to integrate into our business until we sign the contract, until we start actually executing. And lastly, focus on customers and products, not technology. It's time that at our conferences, except for this one, and with our clients, we talk less about ad tags, more about marketing effectiveness.